Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and co-hosting with me tonight is Kathy Costa, and whom you know formerly as Medeiros, and Ken Demers. And we had so much interesting stuff and questions to talk with our last guest, Tara Devine, about, that we convinced her to do another show.
Thank you, Josie.
We thought that there were too many things that we hadn't covered, like, is this mind control? You know, when we're in hypnosis. And my take on that is, yes, you are regaining control of your mind. You're getting in touch with the higher part of yourself.
You as the client. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not being controlled.
No, well, you are assisting your own control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so Hollywood, as I mentioned in the last segment, Hollywood portrays hypnosis as mind control and stage hypnosis. A lot of us have seen either in person or on TV where there's a hypnotist on stage, and they have volunteers to do things that are crazy.
Very suggestible.
That is totally different from what I do. As you mentioned earlier, that is the intention of that is entertainment. Mm-hmm. It is not my intention to entertain you. No. It's my intention to help you create the life that you desire and the experience that you desire. Those stage hypnotists, they're trained to ask the right questions, to know who is willing to go on stage and act ridiculous, and that's the thing. Those people are volunteering. They know that they're going to be suggested to do something silly, and they're volunteering. They're willing. They're open to that. That's not what I do. And like I said, movies and TV, they perpetuate this misconception that the hypnotherapist has some sort of control over you.
There's actually a local hypnotist that does R-rated hypnotist dinner shows kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very popular. I don't know how good he is. I've never been to one of his shows though, but there was a local one that does it that way though. As entertainment for a dinner show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so he's popular.
They go to the schools and they do, but it's entertainment.
Yeah.
The hypnosis that I do is more for a therapy to help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Okay, here's a question. The average person sitting out watching this show doesn't have an issue. Would they be beneficial to them to see you and go through this procedure?
Have you met anyone that doesn't have an issue?
I know a lot of people have a lot of issues, but I'm saying a lot of people don't realize that they have an issue.
Right. And that's the thing with the program that I do with my clients, where I incorporate coaching and they work with me for up to 12 weeks at a time. That's because before I was doing these programs, my clients would come to me for, say, I want to lose a few pounds, and for some reason, no matter what I do, I sabotage my efforts. Can you help me? And so I would do the process, I'd do the hypnotherapy session, and then they would come for their follow-up session, and they would say, well, I'm really not getting along with my spouse. And I'd say, well, that's a whole another issue. So now that I have this program, the client may come to me and say, well, I'm tired of people pleasing. I'm tired of working jobs that I don't enjoy, or whatever their case is. And I say, okay, and what else? Okay, and what else? And 9 times out of 10, it turns out they have a list of things, a list of, for lack of a better term, issues. And so we get to the overlying, the higher level issue of what's causing all these
Is
manifestations.
there a root cause of all these
Absolutely.
different?
There has to be.
Absolutely.
And how do you know
so
what
in
that
the
is?
program, I have a series of questions where I get the client to come to the conclusion of the root issue. I don't. They have to come to it on their own, and then we decide how to go forward from there with their program. And
What would be an example of a root issue?
lack of self-worth.
Okay.
I was going to say, the quote we had that fear is a habit. That people don't know that they're actually indulging in a habit. They
Absolutely.
think it's something else.
And anxiety is a habit. Anxiety is a habit, fear is a habit, addictions are habits, procrastination is a habit. They're all habits, and habits are created by limiting beliefs that are deep-rooted in the subconscious.
And they can be changed.
They can be changed. However, they can't be changed quickly, at least, when we're in our conscious mind.
No.
Which we talk about, and we sometimes call it being in the monkey mind, being in the critical factor of the mind. That's the part of the mind that analyzes things and argues and has the ability to argue and has the ability to analyze. And that part of the mind is sometimes we call it monkey mind because it's jumping around, it has so much to say that it sometimes blocks us to the limiting beliefs that are underneath it. There's a graphic a lot of people have seen of an iceberg. There's the iceberg and then the water level where the boaters are, and they come up, oh, there's an iceberg, and they see the tip of the iceberg. They don't even realize 90% of the iceberg is underwater. Well, that's a great analogy for the mind. We think that, all this monkey mind stuff that's running the show, that's arguing and analyzing and doing all these types of things that we need to have, when actuality, 90% of the mind is where the beliefs, habits, values, emotions, that's where that stuff is, and a lot of these emotions get stuck in events from all the way back to childhood and before, and we're carrying around these emotions into situations where they're not necessary. So I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
So the monkey
love
mind, if you
tangents.
relax the monkey mind, though, you get into the meditative state, which is very similar to hypnosis, though, right? Because the monkey mind, though, it's hard for us to shut that off sometimes.
absolutely. So my teacher defines hypnosis as meditation with a goal. So meditation and hypnosis are almost the same. It's just when you meditate, you're relaxing not only the body, but the brainwave state, you're relaxing the mind. When you're with me during hypnosis, I'm just guiding you there. So if you have trouble getting there on your own, I've been trained to guide you to that relaxed state, that meditative state. And then when you've quieted down the monkey mind and you've told the conscious mind, just take a break for a minute. We're in a relaxed state where the subconscious can take on
Do you
suggestion.
speak in a monotone or any particular type of voice?
Well, some people say my voice can be relaxing during
relaxing.
hypnosis, but that's not necessarily my intention. And before I went to hypnotherapy school, I didn't know a whole lot about hypnosis, and I've studied on quite a few different people now. But my clients have told me that the type of hypnosis that I do is very different. Matter of fact, I had a client that went through the program with me, and she said that she had gone to, when she was younger, she had gone to a pretty well-known hypnotherapist who I've met, and I consider this person a genius, but she said, I went to that guy for probably 6 months, and she said, we didn't do anything like what I do with you. So it's not better or worse, it's just a different style. So if you've been to another hypnotherapy session, all my clients that have been to hypnotherapists before say that the hypnotherapy that I do is completely different. And it's not better or worse or good or bad. When you deal with the subconscious has no right, wrong, good or bad.
Whatever those people are doing, are they getting results also?
Sure, but as things arise in life, sometimes we just need to revisit something,
Yeah, that was something that came up in a conversation earlier today about how you can review. There's always time to stop and review where you've been. And if you feel like you were making progress and now you've lost some progress, there's always time to revisit it and do a little bit more.
Yes, and that's why in my
Intervention.
programs where I combine coaching with the hypnotherapy, my clients have tasks to do in between. So if you were to join a gym and get a physical trainer, they could teach you all the exercises, all the right weights to use, all the perfect form, but if you don't do it continuously, then you're not going to get the results. So now my clients have tasks to do continuously and going forward so that they can pave those new neural pathways, they can reprogram their subconscious. These beliefs that we're carrying around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's going to take more than one session to reprogram that belief to a new belief.
It's kind of like learning a language if someone wants to learn a second language. It's kind of like that almost.
It can be.
Okay.
It can be. If you're used to thinking a certain way or having a certain belief, absolutely. And it takes those exercises in between sometimes for some of these beliefs. If you
Just kind of just go away.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on with examples, but I know I don't know if we have time. But I mean, if
Make time.
if there was, for example, I mean, if there was a child that had many brothers and sisters, and they came home with this beautiful art project, and they went to tell their parent about the art project, and another sibling came in and they distracted the parent. In that split second, you could pick up a belief about your worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not conscious, but you could be carrying that around, and 40 years later, believe that you're not an artist. I mean, that's just
It's not important.
It's not. It's a vague example, but it can be compared to something very profound.
Yeah. I mean, not only just profound, but weird, if you want to explain it that way.
Beliefs that we pick up don't always make sense. Absolutely.
When somebody says something, the color that they're wearing will take on a connotation of whatever the feeling is that you have gotten from them. So there will be a certain shade of yellow that may bring on fear.
Sure.
Because of something that someone said. And you're never going to know that's what happened. But your higher self will take you there to tell you this is what happened.
Absolutely.
And that's why
your subconscious doesn't forget. However, your conscious mind, which is only that 10%, it's taking on. I mean, you look around the room, it's taking on how many thousands of bits of information at a time. It has to have some sort of a filter. So again, I'm going to go back to the brain science. We have this function in our brain, the reticular activating system.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is if you'd like to know.
Okay. That's why we're here.
So you go to the car lot to buy a new car, and you go home with a blue Chevy, and you're like, oh, this is the coolest car I've ever owned. It's blue Chevy, and then all of a sudden you get on the highway, and what do you see?
Blue Chevys.
Blue Chevys.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store, and you see in the parking lot, blue Chevys. Another example. You learn a new word. You say, oh, what is that word you just told me? Oh, okay. Then all of a sudden, everyone's using that word. You're like, everyone, you learned that word this week too? You see it in newspapers, you see it on commercials. It's because you have a reticular activating system in your brain, and you're filtering out bits of information all the time. That word, that blue Chevy, it meant nothing to you before, so your brain had to filter it out to take stuff that you did know.
But what about a word, a new word that other people are using? Is that just a synchronicity, or is that?
Sometimes.
Well, the reticular activating system in your brain now knows the word, so now it recognizes it. The word was there the whole time. You just filtered it out.
But if it was a strange word, it was never being used, and all of a sudden it's being used. It might be more than that.
Well,
Yes.
the thing is that we don't always pick up on different things, though, so our brain's always filtering stuff out, filtering what's important, what's not important. So when you obtain that new knowledge, all of a sudden it's important. So that's why you're picking up on that information.
One thing you're talking about is when Spirit sends you messages and you keep getting repetitive messages about things, that's a different phenomenon versus starting to notice the blue Chevys.
Yeah, I'm talking about something common.
Well, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like you had said, a strange word. Strange words.
a new
It
word,
wouldn't be
yeah.
strange if you were hearing it all the time.
Right.
No.
But turning that around, once you learn it for the first time and then you start hearing it, it's because of the reticular activating system. It was always there.
Yeah.
You know, the
Maybe.
blue Chevys were always there.
Well, that I can say.
It's like stuff that you just didn't notice before, all of a sudden you
so
want to know.
so with hypnotherapy is you can train your reticular activating system to see what you want to see. I mean, Wayne Dyer was a motivational speaker. He's no longer with us, but he was famous. He worked with Hay House. He worked with a lot of spiritual leaders. He has many quotes out there that you can Google, but one of them, and I always say it wrong, but you get the idea. One of his quotes is something along the lines of, gentle people live in a gentle world, hostile people live in a hostile world. It's the same world. So what are you training your reticular activating system to see? And so through hypnotherapy, through accessing the subconscious, we can program our reticular activating system, our minds, our brains, to see the type of world that we want to see and create the type of experience that we want to experience.
Awareness,
Is it reticular, whatever you call it?
reticular,
I can't pronounce that word.
with an R.
Or is it you manifesting something, causing it
I
to
bet
come
you you'll
into
see
being?
that word sometime this week after you leave here today.
I think so.
But this is what I
It's
love.
not a common word.
This
No.
is what I love, though. It is manifesting, because manifesting, there's science behind manifesting.
I do it all the
It
time.
feels like it's magic, but it's not magic. It's you training your mind to see that manifestation, aligning your frequency and your vibration with it so that you can attract it and manifest it into your life. If you don't believe you can have it, you're never going to see it. Or
Right.
you'll see other people having it.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
all
I
it's all
use-
intertwined.
I'm capable of manifesting things, and I'm very good at it. But it's not something I bother doing.
Well, you're doing it anyway. Everything you
you're
have
doing
is
it-
something you manifested.
You're doing it unintentionally, that's all.
But you talked about the colors, Josie, and you asked about genetics in the last segment, or things being passed down generation to generation. And I just thought of, there's been studies, and this is outside of hypnotherapy, but we can use it in hypnotherapy. There's been studies that people associate the color purple with royalty. And that's been passed down from the medieval times.
Well, that's because of the scarcity of the color purple in medieval times.
Well, sure, but we're not in medieval times. But somehow deep in our subconscious, there's been studies that show that we still associate that with royalty. And so that's why they say if you're going to go on a job interview, wear purple so that you'll be
Never heard that before.
there's a lot of different studies on color therapy. So it's outside of hypnotherapy, but we can incorporate it in, and it's just an example of how the subconscious mind works. And you work with a hypnotherapist, and you get to work with your own subconscious mind in ways that you didn't know you could.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that I love about it, is that it's not mind control. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I just have been trained to guide you to that relaxed state where you can take on information and you can take on the suggestions that you are worthy to have the life that you desire.
Okay, is there a particular color?
Well, I don't know all the color therapies. It was just an
I know,
example.
I'm just saying, is there a color that, when you're, okay, let's change the subject. When you're healing people through hypnotherapy, are you wearing a particular color? Have you ever thought about that?
I haven't thought about that. And I'm not healing the person is healing themselves. I'm guiding them through it. However, I will say, there is a point during hypnosis where if someone is against a block, and then I'll ask them.
Against a block?
A block. You said
Okay.
they're coming to me, they have a block.
Okay.
And so if we come up against a block, and then I'll ask them different questions like, to use their imagination to give that block, if they feel it somewhere in their body, or different things. One of the questions I ask is, if you were to give it a color, what color would it be? And then if I say, if you would give it a texture, what would it be? And I ask these different kinds of questions so that they can take the block and work with it outside of their body, outside of their nervous system, outside of their subconscious. And through their subconscious, your subconscious is so amazing. People don't even realize the power that the subconscious has if you just shut up that monkey mind.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And people are just, my clients are amazed and they say, I didn't even know I had that belief in there. I didn't even know that's why I was doing this. But we do work with color, just to answer that.
Yeah.
If I answered that, I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I was just,
But no, I haven't thought
I've
about
studied color therapy in the
I haven't
past.
thought about wearing certain colors. Maybe I should look into that.
well, if somebody's feeling inadequate and they want somebody to look up to, and you're sitting there in purple,
Yeah.
are they going to say, oh, she's really
Color
good at what
plays.
she does?
I have the client get in touch with the color.
It's subtle.
When I guide them to the relaxed state, I have them pick a color from the very beginning. And I have them pick a color that they love, and they imagine the color forming at the top of their head, and then they imagine the color forming and coming into the top of their head, through their body, and out the bottoms of their feet. And the reason why I have them get in touch with the color that they love, and I have them run that color through their body, is because if it's a color they love, chances are their reticular activating system is going to see it in the world, or they're going to have it in their clothes, or they're going to have it in their home decor. And now when they see it,
Now, what
they're
about
going
color
to be
therapy?
reminded of that relaxation.
What about color therapy and the different colors associated with the chakra system? You get your crown, your third eye.
Sure, sure. The opening of the show was orange, and that just made me think of the sacral chakra, which has
Very
to do
creative.
with pleasure and
The opening of the
creativity.
show was, what was orange?
Our clouds.
The opening of the show.
Oh.
On the screen.
Okay, yeah, all right. I saw that, but I didn't
So I
pay
immediately
attention to
thought
it.
of creativity and joy and
Yes.
pleasure.
Well, that works, okay.
So-
We'll take that.
In your sessions, when you're guiding your clients, though, is it? I know this is a little bit different, though. So I know if there's different experiences for this. Does it just stay in this life, though, or do you see past life stuff, though, in the sessions?
I haven't gone on to get past life regression certified because I fell in love with the brain science of
Okay.
working with people's goals in this life.
Okay.
That may change. When I first started, that was all I was concerned with, but then I fell in love with this process.
Okay.
But I will say my clients, if anyone is interested in what I do in a program for themselves,
Tell them who you are.
I have a free consult where I have very well-designed questions that my teachers have designed that help us get clarity on what your goals and achievements you want to have. So my
Tell
name
them
is
who-
Tara Devine. Thank you. I just wanted to get, I appreciate you so much. My name is Tara Devine. And my business is Sea Glass Hypnosis. I have an office in Coventry, Rhode Island. I also do online sessions. Email is taradevine@seaglasshypnosis.com. Sea Glass Hypnosis on most of the social media pages. 401-323-0783 is my phone number. Text me. We can schedule a free
Say
consult.
the phone number again slower.
Area code 401-323-0783. I can send you my calendar and we can book a free consult if you have any questions. Thank you for pushing me to do that.
Somebody out there really needs your help, and we want to make sure they know how to do it.
I appreciate that, especially from a good manifester.
So what are a lot of the common denominators that you find when clients come to you?
Anxiety.
Okay.
Again, I am not a medical professional, so I do not say that I treat or cure depression, but depression is something that we talk about a lot. It can be anything from people-pleasing, limiting beliefs, all the way to anxiety and addictions. Again, procrastination, just stepping into your worth, in whether it be employment, business, relationships.
So it's just everything, basically.
And even some health issues too are affected by your sense of self-worth, the belief that you deserve to have the life that you desire, the job that you desire, the income that you desire, the relationship that you desire, improve relationships with your kids, with your spouse, attract the relationship that you want to have, friends, coworkers, so on and so forth. Just creating the experience that you want to have, and it's through hypnotherapy where you can access the subconscious where the beliefs about yourself are. So,
You know, my gut
You'd be
feeling
surprised. You would be surprised.
well, I think
what your-
my suggestion would be you should seriously look into the past lives. I meet so many people that have issues from past life stuff affecting
absolutely,
these
and
lifetimes.
I should say I am trained where if it does happen that way, I'm trained to handle that and incorporate it into what we're dealing with. However, it's not my goal or intention when we start is to, and I have gone to a lovely woman that studied under Patty also, and other teachers who did a past life regression session with me, and they are a beautiful tool as well.
How did that affect what you're doing occupationally in this lifetime? Did it?
When I had it done with that hypnotherapist, I wasn't doing this at the time, and it wasn't something that we had asked at the time. It was a few years ago.
Okay.
So,
So
but
I'm just,
but that's a good question. Maybe I'll have to call her up and ask her to do it again. I mean, if you believe in reincarnation and past lives, then you believe that we've had many, many of them.
I've had millions of past lives
So what got you started?
continuously.
Yeah. So what got you started in or the interest in the hypnotherapy?
Yeah. So thanks for asking. That was I was doing intuitive work, energy work. I'm a certified Reiki master practitioner as well. And so I just wanted another tool for my toolbox, but then I ended up falling in love with
Surprise, surprise.
with the therapy of the hypnosis and the brain science and how it made sense of everything for me.
Now, how did it get presented to you? Did you know people that did this as well too, though? Or?
I knew people who did this before, but they never explained it to me this way, so it didn't really pique my interest,
Right,
oddly
okay.
enough.
Yeah.
It's funny how life works sometimes.
Really?
But yeah, I had read a book about some other intuitives that were using it in their practice, and I just wanted an extra tool, and I didn't realize that how profound,
How big a tool it was.
how big
Yeah.
a tool it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean I can incorporate the Reiki and the intuition into the sessions for the people that are open to that, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Interesting. Yeah. We'll spend that past so
So
interesting.
what else? What's your next step? What else you gonna go learn?
What else am I going to go learn? Well, there's still plenty to learn in this topic. But as you suggested, probably go on and get the certification in the past lives.
Right.
I don't know if
And
the
that- and
certification is necessary, just an understanding of it.
Well, it
Yeah.
keeps coming up though, so there might be
Yeah.
something though.
But is there
to
anything
think about.
else that's you've learned that, oh, this is really interesting, I should go